Yes, you could say it's too early to talk about the race for the White House in 2016, but the reality is those decisions will be made sooner rather than later, and the names of Paul Ryan and Scott Walker continue to be in the mix. So who's more likely to run? We're asking ABC News political director Rick Klein today. Rick, good to have you back on the program. Let me ask you first about the governor's victory on Tuesday night. What does that do for him, at least in terms of the 2016 talk?
A big boost for Scott Walker. He was one of the true stars of the election cycle. Democrats had a big target on his back from the beginning of the year, even before that, if you count the recall. Now he's able to go back to a national electorate and say, look at what I've done in Wisconsin. To get the voters on my side 3 times inside of 4 years is unprecedented in modern times, and it suggests that he has got a brand of governance that works in a purple to blue state like Wisconsin. To be able to go to a national Republican Party and say, look at what I've done in this big, important state, that goes a long way to establishing credibility in a presidential run.
The people that you're talking with, Rick, do they expect the governor to get into the race? Is that their belief at this point in time?
Yeah, I'd put the percentage in their minds at somewhere around 75%. I think it is more likely than not that he'll get in. I think he'll be one of several governors, maybe even several governors from the Midwest to get in. But there's a lot of interest in him and what he has to offer and the record that he has. And I think most people that I've talked to think it's more likely than not that he ultimately runs for president.
Let's talk about another guy who could run for president, and that is Paul Ryan, the congressman from southeastern Wisconsin, who was reelected on Tuesday night and, of course, was the vice presidential candidate back in 2012. Interesting piece in the National Journal about Ryan and what he may or may not be thinking at this point in time. How much pressure is he getting from some in the Republican Party to make another run in 2016?
He is on a little bit of a different time schedule than most other candidates. That's because he wants to be the Ways and Means chairman. And a bunch of his House colleagues would like to know, are you going to be the full-time chairman of this committee, or are you going to turn around and run for president? The depiction that we're seeing of Ryan emerge in these interviews is really a man in a hurry, a man who's thinking intensely about his future, about his family's future, about his party and his country's future, and someone with some big decisions to make. The idea that he's saying, well, 10 years from now I won't be in politics, that would conveniently include 2 presidential terms, but it could also mean just that he wants to dedicate himself to the work in the House of Representatives, important leadership function with Republicans in the majority right now. So I think it is probably more likely than not that he doesn't run. But I think at this point he is definitely someone that has a lot of interest among big donors. A lot of the old Romney folks comfortable with him. They like the performance they saw from 2012. They continue to see him as a rising star.
Rick, real briefly, how do people like the governor and Congressman Ryan stack up in what is presumed to be the field in 2016?
Well, it's a huge field, but I would put both of them in the top tier of candidates. Among the 8 or 10 or so folks that you'd say, this is a person that could mount a credible nationwide campaign. They will not be fringe candidates. If they get in, either or both of them, they will be for real.
And your feeling at this point is probably 1 and not 2. Would that be accurate?
I think that's right, and I think there would be a lot of pressure from the donor community to say we can't have 2 people from the same state get in. It eats up a lot of oxygen, it eats up a lot of energy. So I'd imagine there'll be some conversations in Wisconsin circles, up to and including the chairman of the RNC, Reince Priebus, also a Wisconsinite.
All right, Rick Klein, the ABC political director. We appreciate your time. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you, Mike.
And which Wisconsin Republican do you want to see run for president in 2016? Scott Walker, Paul Ryan, or neither? Tell us by liking and sharing up front on Facebook. Coming up next, just how bad things are for Wisconsin Democrats. And to keep the conversation going throughout the week, follow me at Mike Boucher on Twitter.